Welcome to Noble's Wow Podcast. Today is a juicy topic. At least we think so because it's an
important topic.
At least for us.
Juicy.
I think it's juicy.
It is juicy.
Yeah, because it's like about us.
I guess
So you get like details on some shit like about us. And what is that topic we're talking about?
we are talking about self-awareness.
Yes.
Very important topic.
Which is gave
For
us.
us.
Yeah.
For us.
That's what gave us the idea to do this
Very true.
podcast, because once we became self-aware of our, I don't know, ourselves, our characters, why we do what we
It's
do.
like once you're woke, you're woke. You can't go back.
No, you can't go back. And even if you try, it's bad. It's worse.
Yeah. You can't go back to the same patterns.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. You
No.
can't.
Once you pointed out the patterns, you can't.
Well, we could talk about that.
Because then that's just fucked up. You're deliberately doing something.
You're self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
Moment.
But okay, so
Let's get
how, when and how did you become self-aware? Or I guess why?
why.
Yeah.
I was in a marriage at that time. I think I was already. Was Sophia born already? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, Sophia was born.
Sophia was born already.
Because you were like,
I think it was. Yes. I was in a marriage.
I think that is what started you asking yourself, why am I unhappy?
Yes, you're right. Because it seemed like, okay, I have a nice husband. He doesn't hit me. He doesn't cheat on me. At that moment, he doesn't cheat on me. He goes to church. We go to church. And there's this part of me that was like, okay.
He was involved. Was he involved in church?
Yeah, he was involved in church.
Involved in church.
And in that moment, in my head, I thought, well, I have God. I should be happy. But I think I've never felt so lonely and so lost in those moments. And I did go to church, but I never felt, I don't know, just didn't sit right in my spirit. Like, it just I didn't feel like that was it. Like, I didn't feel like that was it. I felt like life shouldn't have been that way. Yeah, but life should not be this way. In my head, that's what I said. I started questioning, and also, again, with my then husband, it's like, I just don't get it. And I always blamed myself. I always thought that I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't being a good wife.
I mean, he would tell you that too.
Yeah, he would tell me that too. Again, I don't know if anyone heard the last podcast, but I was married to a narcissistic man.
And in a way, church kind of makes you feel like you're not doing enough.
Yes, I don't think the church talks enough about those things. Those things that nobody wants to really talk about.
Not just trying to keep your family together, but when it comes to you not being, when a person is a narcissist.
I feel like church should preach or talk on self-awareness, because if you are self-aware, then you're not, even with the Bible, I think you learn the Bible so much, you do your own research, and then you do that with you, and then you kind of there's no way that people can, I don't know, get you wrong, fool you, or only you know you. So that makes any sense. But again, we don't grow up that way. We didn't grow up that way.
Well, because I think their way of explaining self-awareness is knowing God, right? I think to them that's self-awareness. Because there is no self, if there's a God.
Dang, we got about religion. What the fuck?
I know, that was not how we did
juicy.
this video before, but we didn't even get like that.
We did not. But again, in my head, that's part of it.
For me, if you're knowing God, then you know yourself. But the thing is, we're so separated from that where we need to know God, we don't even know who the fuck we are.
For sure.
I think first you need to know who you are, and then you'll know who God is. I think that's a contradictive.
Right, and when we talk on here, it's these are our experiences. Never in one moment do we want to say no.
We're not experts. We're not know the Bible inside and out.
No.
We're not preachers. We're not.
Absolutely not. But this is my story. This is your story. What I've been through, what I've experienced.
Yeah.
And that was one of them that I just didn't. I felt like that wasn't what it was supposed to be. I was like this. doesn't seem
Well, we
right.
grew
I
up
feel
that way.
like,
We
right.
grew up
And
that
even
that's
with
how.
God, I felt like with God, I should be happy. I should be happy. I should be full. And I didn't, full as a person in my marriage, but I didn't feel that way. It felt quite the opposite. I would cry myself to sleep. And this man wouldn't even know. And then I had 2 kids. I was with my daughter, and then I think I was pregnant with my son. That's when it became a little more. Those little antennas were like, oh my God, like something needs to change. And in that time in my marriage, it was very. I don't think I've ever felt more lonely than when I think that's when you feel the loneliest, when you're with somebody.
I feel even more lonely when you're alone with someone.
Yeah, and yes, and
It feels more lonely than you just being alone by yourself.
So it got to the point where I got postpartum with my daughter. It was Sophie, and I
She didn't
tried.
know that till like way later.
Yeah, I didn't know any of this.
And she didn't. I mean, because you weren't talking to anybody. You weren't talking to us, so she had no support or no. And plus, okay, from my point of view, you were always sad.
I was gonna say
You were
I was
always sad, and you were always unhappy. So there was no way for me to be like, that's postpartum. She was already like that. She was already super sad, and I knew who it was that was causing that. But again, you were in there.
But it's
there was
always
nothing I
also
could do.
a sad kid.
That's true. But that's not why.
No. But that was
You were already on. I already knew you were so unhappy, and this person wasn't even being supportive.
No, it was not.
And even like helping you with his own child.
Like nothing.
Nothing.
Like diapers,
It was me and my
sleeping.
parents.
I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't. And again, mommy's out there. You know.
Yeah. So I just thinking that's your sadness from being unhappy in this marriage because this person isn't showing up for you.
Yeah.
But that's like that. You had that, and then add the postpartum.
Yeah.
So we had no idea how bad it was.
Yeah, and I attempted towards my life twice during that time. And I think that's what really, it was really bad. I remember I'll tell the story, open and raw here. I remember holding my baby, and I'm just like, this is not, and this is me. This is what I went in my head. I was just holding my baby. I'm like, this is not enough for me to stay here. Like, I cannot be what I want to be for her. And I was just so sad. I felt this deep void, and then I guess also that I couldn't be that for her. Like, I felt like I just couldn't, like I wasn't enough for my kid, and I didn't feel love. And it felt like, why am I here? Like, I'm not gonna bring anything to her. And in that moment, I looked at her. I was saying that I was crying, and she just reached her hand, and then just a part of me was, okay, Anthony, no, you can't do it. Like, it was God, the universe telling me, no, like, it's gonna be okay. And that happened twice. Nobody knew until
But
later.
didn't you say you were gonna kill yourself or something like that? And James laughed at you?
Yeah.
You told him, you're like, I'm to the point where I want to do that. And he laughed at her and said, haha, yeah, okay, do it. Or not, you're not gonna do it? Is that what you said?
Yeah, he told me I wasn't gonna do it. It got really bad. I remember that scene. He was holding her. I was nuts. Oh God, you feel crazy. I was already feeling crazy in that marriage. I wasn't being listened to. And I was voicing at that moment what I wanted because I just didn't know anymore. I'm like, I'm not happy. And we need to do something. Oh, I feel sad. And I remember him holding the baby. And I grabbed the knife. And I was about to do this. And he's like, you're not gonna do it. Stop. And I started laughing, and then I had it right here. But then I saw Sophia again. I didn't even see him. And I just like dropped it, and then I just walked away. It was bad.
And he still laughed at you.
Yeah, he still laughed at me. Or I just kind of blew it off.
Like it wasn't serious.
Like it wasn't serious. That's a lot of the. That's what a lot of it was. Like he thought it wasn't serious.
I could not see that.
I know, it was bad. It was very bad. Yeah, but when and then again now,
So
I've
that
healed
was part
from
of the
those things.
unhappiness.
Yes, yeah, that was part of those things. But again, I was at the point where like, okay, I need to change. And then I got pregnant with my son. I did not want to get pregnant because it was very lonely, and I was already alone. I was a single mother basically, and I was like, oh my God, another kid. But it happened, and that's when my little antenna was like, okay, Adri, no, this cannot be the same. We have to be present for our son and for our kid. And I just kind of, I separated.
What's self-awareness to you?
Self-awareness to me is knowing exactly who you are as a person, sitting almost like a mirror, and you're really facing yourself, but you're facing everything right, like the ugly, the good, the bad, and really sitting with it. You're not running away from it, because you know when we see pimples and we want to cover it up, or we're just like, okay, I don't want to see this, and then we walk away.
The best thing for your pimples is to let them breathe and don't even touch them.
No. Self-awareness for me is
but
you're
people
sitting
just,
there.
The first thing they do is try to cover them and fidget with them, but that makes it worse.
No, yeah. For me, it's sitting there and looking at the pimple, and maybe asking, why did the pimple happen? Did it touch my face a lot? You know, because
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Or does it come from? You know, is it what is that word?
Is it hereditary?
Yeah, because and then I would have to get like certain lotions or like go to a doctor,
dermatologist.
Yes, that's what self-awareness is. Really going in on it.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah. Because then if you think you have a mental,
and it's exhausting. Self-awareness is exhausting,
and it breaks you every time. Every time you it can break you.
It definitely breaks you.
Again.
I think it is breaking of oneself over and over again.
And over and over.
But then
you make something new.
Yeah, but you become better every time. And I wouldn't be able to tell this story and not cry before. And now I can talk about it, and it's like, okay, that was a part of my story. It shouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that I chose myself, and I chose my kids, and I chose hope.
And I wanted to ask her what self-awareness meant to her, because it wasn't because she was like, because of him or whatever.
Oh, no,
she did it for herself. She said, okay, I'm unhappy. I'm going to look at myself, and since I'm the one that's tired, I'm going to do something about it. Yes, and that's what it is. That's what self-awareness is. That's yourself. Being aware of yourself, and despite whatever that other person, if you're in a marriage or if you're...
And I think it's very important, because I think in relationships, sometimes we tend to blame other people, or like you is because of you. But you got to really sit down with yourself and be like, what the fuck am I doing wrong?
And that's not to discredit what a shitty person he is.
No. But I'm like, I can sit here and I can tell you everything that I did wrong in my marriage, 100%, because it takes two people. Mm-hmm. That was really hard for me to understand when I was going through the self-awareness. I was like, what the fuck? Me? I could not do anything.
Me. I did everything to make it.
This guy may hurt me, but honestly, no. It takes two people.
At some point, you allow those things to happen to you at a certain point.
That was a really hard one to understand, that I did allow that, because I had no self-awareness. I had no self-love. Mm-hmm. I didn't love myself. I didn't respect myself. I let people walk all over me. I let him walk all over me. I let him talk to me that way.
I mean, you walked all over yourself.
Well, yeah.
You teach people how to love you.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one. But yeah, I got tired of it, so I started working on me. I started going to counseling. I asked him to go with me, but he didn't want to. But I kept going. I was like, no, and then in this process of self-awareness, so I started reading a lot of books. I love research. I started reading a lot of stuff. I started just working on me, and I saw the change. Mm-hmm. I started
he saw the change, because he was already like bugging.
And that's how you know the narcissist, when they see you that you're okay. But because you're being self-aware, because you're working on you, you start seeing those things. Oh, wait a minute, this is not okay.
And she didn't even know what the word narcissistic meant until
you
were doing all this research for yourself.
But that happened after I separated from him, when I found out what he was doing, and I was brave enough to leave him. It's easier. It's easier to stay. It's comfort, and staying what you know is easier sometimes. Mm-hmm. And even in the bad shit, I feel like humans, sometimes we stay in stuff because that's just all we know. Mm-hmm. And maybe we keep on...
the unknown is what's more scary.
Yes, we keep on being in relationships that feel familiar. We keep attracting the same people because that's all we know.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle that we have to break.
Pattern.
But that's where I started. That started my self-awareness.
That's why. That's how.
That's how it started. And why, yeah.
And your why was because you were
I was
So
tired.
they had to change.
I was tired.
You're tired. You're not tired until you're tired.
Yeah.
That song, that guy.
Yeah.
There's this guy during entrepreneur. Oh my god, I love him. He's hilarious. He's like, you ain't tired until you're tired. You're not tired. If you were tired, you wouldn't be there, or you wouldn't be with that fool. It's until you're tired that you stop.
Yeah, and I think
If you keep going, it's because you're not tired of it yet. And that's one thing, right? You have to like,
yeah, dude, that was
face that like, oh my god, I'm not tired.
I was in this marriage for 10 years.
And one can say, oh, I'm tired of it sometimes, but you're really not until you are.
Yeah, for sure. And so, yeah, I got tired. I was tired of being sad. I was tired of being blaming everybody else and unhappy. Yeah, I just...
Because you saw my babies. You're like, I can't.
Yeah, I didn't want...
Just can't continue.
Yeah, I just couldn't.
Your babies will teach you if you let them.
And that's what we're here to have. That's why we have kids.
That's what kids are here for. They're here to teach us, to show us things that, or to remind us of things we forget about.
Yes, totally. What about you? Where did your self-awareness?
So my self-awareness started once you started. I think I've always been.
I was gonna say, as a kid, I think you were always kind of self-aware.
Yeah.
You were naturally.
You knew
who you were.
Yeah.
When
I was a kid, it was.
She was a leader. She would tell people what to do. She didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Which I love that.
To a certain point, it was a little much. But because I think I was like.
But as kids, we know ourselves.
Exactly. And it was to the point, I was very headstrong. So I was kind of like, I don't give a shit. Like, until I gave a shit. Until it started to matter. Because I'm like, oh my God. Like, everybody's telling me this stuff. Grown-ups, not just children. Not just people my age, it's grown-ups telling me like, oh, this girl, you need to like nip that in the bud.
Oh yeah.
She talks back. But it wasn't even me talking back in a rude way. It was me talking back in a way like, I know I know what the fuck I'm saying. And it's making you feel some type of way because a child is telling you something that you know is true, but you don't want to face.
True.
And I was that kid. And I was like that for my friends. Of course, there's a way to say it. And the way that I would execute it wasn't the nicest. It was, I think, a little too blunt. But I've learned how to deliver it better. Yeah, now I can deliver it a little better. But you're a kid. That's what you're learning. You're learning to how to talk to people or how to
socialize,
execute what you're trying to say. How to deliver what it is that you're trying to say in a way that's not being like, well, you need to hear this, you need to, you know what I mean? But anyway, like, when I was a kid, I feel like I was always kind of self-aware. I already knew myself, but then I started losing that because of that. Like, people really don't like it when you know who you are, especially at a young age. Adults don't like that. And other kids that are still struggling or still trying to figure out who they are, they don't like that either. I think that's a human trait that we all carry if you don't know yourself. People and kids or whoever's your age, they hate seeing someone that knows themselves when they don't know it yet. Instead of asking, how did you get there? How can I be that too? They're like, I don't like that. This bitch is making me feel like she's better than me. And that's not the case. But so I lost it along the way. And I think it wasn't until, well, like a big thing happened to me. I was married. It was a shit show. Most of, that relationship was a shit show because of, like, things with my family. But we'll get into that in another video. But
that's juicy.
Yeah, that's juicy. That's true. But yeah, so like, I think, so I was married and then I had my daughter. I was 4.5 months pregnant with her. And at that mark where I was 4.5 months pregnant with her, my husband died. And it was sudden. And I'll go into detail a little later in a different video with that. But that shattered my world. And I have this baby. And my main goal is just to keep her alive.
You're surviving it though.
Yeah, I was surviving. And so after that, I lost myself completely. Everything
What do I
shattered.
wanna
I know everything that I thought I was, and that's the thing too. Like you can't find yourself in a person.
No.
And I think at some point I defined myself in my relationship that was me, like how we were together and what he was for me and what I was for him. Like that was everything for me. And so when that completely was swept under, that rug was swept under me, it shattered. Everything shattered, and it was to the point where I had no sense of self, no sense of anything, nothing. I couldn't grasp anything.
Oh.
I didn't know anything. All I know is that I'm no longer married. I'm a widow. I'm a mom all of a sudden, and I never wanted to be a mom. And but I was like, okay, with this person, I could be a mom. And I never wanted to be that. And now I'm stuck with something that I never wanted.
And this is us being real and raw when it comes
Yes.
to these things, because I know everyone goes through their stuff. Some people really want to have babies, but for us, we never grew up that way.
But it's not that, with a person, I loved him. So I'm like, yeah. But I never wanted to have one
But
of
in your
them.
mind, that wasn't.
Yeah, in my mind, it wasn't something that I really wanted or needed. And it's beautiful if that's what you want, but exactly, everybody has a different picture for themselves, a different
and that's okay.
future.
That's
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Whatever.
Let me get, I'm gonna get to that, okay? Not that I'm not happy with my baby. I freaking love my baby. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Those are real things.
But those
that you
are
think
real
about as a
feelings.
mom,
Yeah.
dude. Especially when you don't have a husband, or when your husband leaves you,
or when you go through something so big that you're not expecting. You're like, what the fuck, And it's like,
it's not this picture you had in your mind of what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
What you wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
The dissolution of that is, damn, that's another
shattering.
Yeah,
it is devastating.
it's like you.
And okay, so and before I had her too, I was pregnant before her, when me and him were only dating before we were married, and I had a miscarriage. And because I had a miscarriage before, and then now, I'm 4.5 months pregnant with her, he passes away, and I am survival mode. I'm like, what? And all I'm thinking about is keeping this baby alive, because I'm like, I cannot get emotional. I cannot let this, I can't lose somebody else. I already lost him. I can't lose him.
Oh,
So I wasn't even thinking about me. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was literally a zombie, creating this life and trying really, really hard to just be something that I didn't want to be, and I didn't understand what I was
being mom was
needing to be. You know what I mean? So I was on autopilot. I don't even know, half of that.
Was it a blur?
It's a blur, but at the same time,
or is it just something
the pregnancy was beautiful. I can tell you it was really beautiful. I felt super cute, but after I had her, it was a blur. When I go back, I'm like, how was I so happy?
You were a blur after she was born, though. I remember.
Yeah, because I'm like, how it was literally my child. Because if you meet her, she's this happy, bubbly kid, and you change when you have your babies. You're basically your baby until they come out, right? And it was a blur after I had her. I'm holding this beautiful thing, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. I remember being so scared the moment that I was gonna push her out. You remember that? I was like, they were like, okay, she's coming. I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't do this. No. And you grab me and you're like, no, you can do this. You're gonna push. And I push her out. And I remember at that moment they give me her the next day and you're gonna take her home. I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna give me this kid and have me go home with it? And literally I don't think I told you this. I did not feel connected to her when I had her in my arms. Like that day when they gave her to me and I was supposed to take her. I'm like, what is this life? Like who is this? I know she's my kid, but I'm like, and I'm trying really hard to be like those moms that are like, oh my God, my miracle or whatever. And but it didn't feel like that to me. It felt like this foreign thing in my arms. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? And it literally was a blur after that. Like my pregnancy was amazing. But then after that, after I had her, it was a blur. That was a blur. So I was a lost human being for a while. And I was on autopilot the entire time. I'm like, okay, I still can't grieve. I still can't deal with that because now I have to breastfeed a child. And they tell you, like, if you have a shock of feelings or whatever, you can stop. You can stunt your milk.
That's what happened to me with my daughter.
That's true. And if you stunt your milk, you know, you can't breastfeed. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. So, I don't know how I did that. But I was just like, autopilot.
We were all just like looking at Grace.
Everybody was like walking around me like they're walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
Even at work, everybody
you
was
didn't
like,
even know. You didn't know.
I didn't realize how much I sighed until.
And we can't really understand what you're going through.
You know, you don't know what to say. There is no right thing to say. Everybody's different. There is no right way to treat a person. It's just you needing to look at that person, I think, and just you figure it out as you go.
Just being there.
Yeah, because I'm figuring it out as I go. I don't know what to do. Anyway, so you basically autopilot, lost, don't know who I am. And I guess in that, I'm breastfeeding my kid, and after the 6 months of breastfeeding her, I'm like, okay, I can go out now. I can breathe, I guess, in my head. I'm like, I can breathe, I can figure it out now. And I'm like, okay, I've had her for 6 months. Okay, now I can kind of focus on myself. She's done breastfeeding, so I can focus on grieving. But it's weird, like if you haven't grieved for that entire time, almost a year, going up to a year, you're like, well, it's dumb to like make myself go back into those moments and cry. Like that's dumb. Like why would I do that?
And to me, this is my.
I know, but like to me, I'm like,
what?
I'm not like I'm not where it happened anymore. Like I'm not back in that moment anymore. So it'd be dumb for me to put myself back in that moment. Yeah.
Was it also because of how we grew up?
Yeah.
Because that happened to me too.
Because you're like,
there's no point. Like,
yeah, why? You already went through it. When you could have gone through it.
Yeah.
You didn't. Oh well.
We don't have
now
time
you move
right
on.
now.
Yeah.
We gotta be moms. We gotta survive. We gotta do what we gotta do. And I think that was a big thing for us growing up. Like, you can cry one day, you dust yourself off, and you keep going.
And you get back up.
And you don't look back.
But like sometimes you need to look back. Like you have to look back in order to keep
Well,
going, in order to move on.
Exactly, self-awareness. And I know this is a lot of people, and for me, it's a red flag. If a person that I'm dating or talking to, friend, whatever, you tell me, no, I don't know. That's in the past. It's in the past. I don't think about that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Pasó.
There was no reason to go back and look at it. And you're avoiding something.
Exactly. And that makes me question.
You ran away and you didn't face it. So you're still walking around having that inside. And it's going to pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's part of self-awareness, sitting with that stuff.
Yeah.
You're not staying there.
No.
But definitely you're going
You shouldn't stay there. You shouldn't dwell on it either because, yes, you need to move on. But that's what self-awareness is.
Exactly.
To point those things out so you know where you need to move on.
Exactly. And why. Like, what is it that really hurt you in that moment? So anyways, I think that was part
of us. Of course, I go through my spiral. And within that spiral, I couldn't feel unless I drank because I couldn't put myself back there. I couldn't do it. And it wasn't until until all my senses.
And I wasn't really there for you.
Well, you were with that prick.
I couldn't.
You were having your own your own chaos. And no one knew what to do. So I was like, okay, let me go out, let me have fun. I never really had fun before. And the only time I had fun was with him. So I'm like, okay, now you're alone. You gotta figure it out. And you have to find a way to be happy, or you have to find a way to be a happy person for your daughter, because you do not want her to be sad, and you do not want her to hold those things. And that's what made me kind of do that self-awareness like that, and then like really do it after you started doing it and you were reading your books and getting to know yourself.
I was just like,
she was in the enneagram, your love languages.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are my love languages? And after that, it's like when I looked at my daughter, I'm like, I cannot be this person. I cannot be sad like this, and I cannot take her down with me. I can't do that. I can't put my shit on her. Like, this is my sadness. I went through this, and I'm not gonna.
And me, I was getting really frustrated. Like, I was angry. Like, I would.
Because I'm not going to underestimate. I'm not going to devalue that hurt and that pain in that moment. But I'm not gonna put that on her either. So I needed to deal with that, and then. I dealt with it how I thought I could, or how, I don't know, how whatever fell in my lap. I was like, okay, I could do it this way. And yeah, basically I was alone with it. Because I think, because of how my relationship was with my family when I was with him, I'm like, I can't talk to my family about him. They didn't care then. They already thought it was a bad idea to be with this person. Now that he's dead, that's just proving that it was a bad idea. That was in my head. I know, that's proving I failed. That's proving that my relationship failed. And my life, I failed at life. I know.
And that we were right.
Yeah, and that my parents were right, and I was wrong to choose this person. And that's how, that's how I felt. And so I'm like, well, I can't say anything if that's just proving them right. And that's just gonna make me feel even shittier, and I didn't want that. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. And so I just did what I could, and I do thank my mom for just kind of letting me go through the motions. I know she knew what I was doing, but like, and I think she also felt guilty too, a little bit with that. And I think she understood that I could have talked to her, but she's like, oh, I don't blame her, so. I'm just gonna, and she helped me with my baby, and
you were depressed.
So and I didn't think I was. I didn't know I was.
She would be like, after years, she's like, oh, what that? I'm like, girl, you were like,
yeah, because after years later, people are like, oh, it's nice to see your eyes shine again. I'm like, what?
They weren't shining.
What? They weren't shining? It's nice to see you smile again. I'm like, I've been smiling. But no, they meant like a genuine smile. It's nice to see you happy. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought I was doing a good job at hiding that, but nope. But yeah, I was a zombie. I was a zombie for a while. I would say.
How could you not? That's a lot to process.
Yeah. And it wasn't until like 2 years ago, I want to say, you started all that. And then last year did I really start doing that for myself.
And also I think for me, self-awareness, if you are able to do that, we can, by doing that, I think we will make the world a better place, and better world meaning your world as well. Me doing that, like me growing up, I think I was very inner me. Like I never felt like I could talk. Even with you, I felt really disconnected from you growing up. We were 5 years apart. Grace was very like, now I always felt very quiet, very, like in her shadow.
Then.
Yeah, in her shadow.
She's like, how the fuck do you know yourself? I'm so bubbly, and she's like, I'm not bubbly.
Yeah, I'm not bubbly, but like,
and
so
again, we were compared.
Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah,
but so then that's why we felt so disconnected, because all we knew was these comparisons that our parents are telling us. Oh, you guys are not that alike.
And then so people too.
Yeah, people are telling us you guys aren't alike, and we're thinking to ourselves, yeah, like you're right. I guess we're not. So why do we talk? Why should we?
I really didn't know you.
Yeah.
And then growing up, I think also.
But I feel like I always knew you.
That's the beautiful thing about you. You're just so lovely. You're so thoughtful.
No, and I read her journals. Because I wanted to get to know you, and I would read her
I was very
journals because she
close
wouldn't talk to me.
No, I didn't.
And I
That's
know I
okay,
was
but-
younger, but I'm like, I'm gonna snoop and see what's going on because that way I can get in her head and know what's going on.
And she always wanted that with me. I think I didn't want it, or
Yeah.
I just didn't know how.
Mm-hmm.
But then after everything, I think at one point too.
But I never told her. I never told you that I read your journals till later. I was like, oh yeah, I knew about that. She goes, how'd you know that? I'm like, your journals. But see, I could keep a secret, yo. I could take it to my grave.
Oh my god.
Like, I just want to know. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not
Because
going
you
to
really
use
like to
it
know
against you.
people.
I just want to know you. Who are you to
That
the core?
frustrates you when you don't.
Yes, it does frustrate me.
That's
But
what
it
I've learned.
frustrates me if you say you're my best friend or if you say you're my like good friend, but you're not telling me these things. It frustrates me. But anyway.
But yes, like what was the thing I think I felt very entitled in a moment growing up too, because again, with me understanding that I wanted love, I needed love, but I would get it in me doing things. So all I thought was the stuff that I knew what to do, how to do it, and me and Chris we weren't very close.
Mm-mm.
And then after that, I was like, oh man, again being that self-aware, like, dude, I'm fucking selfish. Like people would put you in this place of selfishness, but I was very
No.
selfish. I was very, very, very selfish.
And I was like trying really, really hard
I think I
not to
still
be
am.
a selfish person.
no, what am I
But
doing?
then it was but then again it wasn't until last year we're like, you know what?
No.
I am not a selfish person. I had to really because I would think everybody would tell me that, and I'm like, well, maybe I am. And then I'm like, no, I'm not fucking selfish. I'm thinking how I really do think about people. I'm
You're
like,
one of those
there's
thoughtful
no
people I know.
underlying. There's nothing. There's no underlying, and there's no in between the lines. No.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not fucking selfish.
See, I had to sit with those
Do-
things with me.
I'm being, and I'm like, no, now I'm caring about myself. That's why you think I'm selfish, because I'm actually caring about myself now. And I'm saying no.
Yeah.
And that's why they got mad. Boundaries.
People don't respect your boundaries.
No, because I've been allowing them to say no to me. I'm like, okay, I get it. Those are your boundaries. But now that I want to put my boundaries and I'm saying no, you're like, bitch, what? Why are you saying no to me? You're being selfish. No, bitch, I'm not.
So in doing that, me being that self-aware with me, then me and you were able to have that relationship.
And then that's where mine started after that.
Yeah. Then again, me putting myself aside and being, damn, now that we
Yeah,
gotta
she
sit with
was
these
and I noticed.
ugly
remember when
things.
I noticed she was doing that self stuff, and I was like, okay. I remember, and then I started taking her out with me with my friends,
Oh yeah. 'Cause
and then I felt like I'm such a different person with my friends than when I am with my sister, and I'm like, now that she's coming out with me, I'm like,
and I never went out before.
no,
either.
and I'm like, I feel like I'm not being my complete self while I'm going out with my friends, and I know they were noticing, bitch, you are a different person. This is not you, right?
And I was learning to be myself.
yeah, and I think I was like, Ali, do you think we're close? And you're like, yeah, and I'm like, I don't think we are. And she was like, what? And I'm like, I want to be close to you. I want to have. I'm like,
No secrets.
yeah, I want to be able to tell you everything. I don't tell you everything. And she was like, what? I'm like, yeah, because you make me feel like a mom, and you would tell on me, and you make me feel like this,
Less than.
yeah, less than. You make me feel like shit when I tell you about my deepest secrets, and you make me feel like, what? You're doing that? You're so dumb, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Again, I
we're
was
both making our mistakes.
Very entitled person, and the perception that I had that I needed to be was, again, this perfect wife, this perfect sister, this perfect daughter. This and it was too much. Again, that's part of my sadness, that I was so sad because I wasn't being me.
And we
I
were
wasn't-
watching these movies where all these these sisters and these best friends seeing each other, all their embarrassing shit, and they laugh about it and they talk about it, and they're like, bitch, you were dumb, but and they're like, but that's their friend, that's their family, and I'm like, I want that. I want that with somebody. And I was trying really hard.
Did not always have this
No,
at all.
no, it's work. every single day. It's a relationship. We work at this.
I love you. Hand hug.
We freaking work at this.
I choose to love you every day.
I choose to,
and I choose to, like, be better for you, I guess, in a way. Like, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's been, on my part, I had to learn a lot. You've taught me a lot of the self-awareness stuff.
But you were the one that was doing the
No, but in me, like me, you're like a mirror.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know, you don't really learn self-awareness. You're in relationships. We're human. We're made
That's
for
true.
connection.
Community.
I can live in loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Not alone, like alone. I thrive in being alone. Like, I am better when
I didn't realize until I was starting to really, really allowing myself to be myself that I actually need space.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want space. I'm thinking like, oh no, I don't need that much space. Like I like being with people, but like,
and that's part of
like I hate people
everything.
and I love people.
But see, you in that self-awareness,
And you
journey,
realize, oh, I like being around people.
I love people. Like
she was thinking you always needed space. Like, oh no, I thrive by myself, but like,
and I do, but I love meeting
thrive
new
with people, but like my people.
It's in relationships that I have trouble on this one-on-one.
Same.
I have trouble. I'm learning.
Yeah. I'm learning through my friendships. I think that's how you learn first. Pay attention how those people are with their friends, because that's how they're going to be with you. Or they won't be like that with you and only with your friends. And that's a problem. I think that's a problem.
Yeah,
I should be your friend. I should be your best friend. A different kind of best friend. Because obviously you're going to have sex. So it's not really your friend, but you know what I mean. But it's a friend that has these benefits. This partner. Oh, we're talking about that now. Right? You know. Oh man. I was looking at a picture seeing but yeah. That's how our journey has started with self-awareness, and it's
very important.
This is where it's going.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
Anything else you might want to? I think this is awesome. We can keep talking about this.
Yeah,
in different ways. Like
there's
maybe
different-
start asking each other self-aware questions. Maybe in the next one.
Self-awareness question.
Yeah, like I don't know, just random ones.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's questions on the internet, and
We can do that.
them. Yeah.
But I mean, that's how our self-awareness
Started for
journey
us.
started, and now, oh God, I'm thankful. Again, it's been a very painful.
And it kind of led us to our
process.
spiritual journey.
Yes, you're right. Again, it's all part
Yeah,
of
see,
it.
it's
That's
all
all part of it.
connected. It's all connected.
But it's wanting to do that, and you being tired of where you are or who you are, and then
If where you are,
It's
if
not.
you're not happy with where you are, that's where it starts. That's the spark right there, and then you move on from there. You go
and
from
it's
there.
little steps. Those little steps matter. The littlest ones
Are
matter.
the biggest ones. The
Yeah.
smallest steps are the biggest steps.
I agree 100%.
If you have to skip many steps, you're not doing it right.
You know, on the self-awareness thing, and the little steps that I took was things that you would think would be dumb. But I got to like, what's your favorite color? Do you know your favorite color? Like, what's your favorite smell? Adri, what? Because these are the questions that I like to ask when I'm with somebody. But I started doing that for me. I started dating me.
And that was the biggest thing.
That
for
was
me.
a big
why
thing
is
for
nobody
me.
understanding?
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, I don't even understand.
A
that.
big part of me was
Yeah.
I wanted to be seen, but
Yeah.
I didn't even see me. And I didn't even remember that day I told you, Grace, like, I don't think I'm always asking why nobody wants, why nobody really stays. But I was like, do I really like to be alone with myself?
That's true. We did say that. I'm like, oh, do you even like?
Yeah, do you like
Yeah.
being alone?
Do you like who you are on your own?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, no, pues no. No, pues wow.
No, wow.
And I was like, oh, and I love talking about that with you. And also, I think it's very important to have somebody that you trust on the self-awareness journey, because this is not something that you can do on your own. Life is hard already.
You shouldn't have to do it on your
have to
own.
do it alone. It should be somebody that you really trust. Anyways, that was really nice, because I was like, Chris, I got something, like I got a breakthrough.
Every time we have conversations, we always have a morning conversation. I mean, we're always having a long
talking.
ass conversation because we have our kids.
I don't get
So we'll be with our kids and we'll be like, I just thought something. And,
oh my God, I had a breakthrough.
I had a breakthrough today. Yeah. And your breakthroughs can come at any time.
Anytime.
driving, while you're pooping, while you're in the shower.
Driving is a big one for me.
Yeah.
Music.
Me is music. Music really speaks to me.
Say, nature.
Nature definitely speaks to me.
That's
I
also
gotta start
part of
hiking
it.
again. It's just been so fucking hot.
It's hot.
Yeah. But even then, I should start hiking or like walking around the house. It's hot, but still,
It's good for you.
it's good. It's good for me to be out. I've been inside too long. I just realized that too. I'm like, I've been inside too much. Because I'm getting sleepy. I've been getting really groggy. I've been getting really, I don't want to do anything.
I get my self-awareness.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh no. Okay,
It's good to know
doing this.
your patterns.
You've been
why
hiking for like the whole pandemic. And then even after that, and you were doing really good, and now...
Or the gym, just go to the gym.
Yeah, but there's just so many people now. It's annoying. Like I said, I hate people, and then I love them at the same time. I can't stand people, and then at the same time, I'm like, well,
You're such a Pisces.
people for a reason, I guess. Wow.
I'm Pisces for sure.
Yeah, I love my people.
And you're an introvert, right?
Yeah, I always thought I was an extrovert. No, I'm an introvert. But I can be an
You're thinking of
extrovert.
the Sag, you put that out there that you are, but you really aren't.
Yeah.
I'm like, Grace, you seem like you're the people person, but you're really not.
Yeah.
And you really think you're showing people who you are, but you're really not.
I'm really not.
You're really careful who you show that to.
Yeah.
But now you're learning.
Yeah. Well, because when I did do that when I was younger,
you felt
all these
so
people were like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like you. And I'd be like,
Also, self-awareness is getting to the point where you don't give a fuck what people say.
Now that
because-
is a good spot to be, and that's a great spot.
And not in a way of like, oh, fuck everybody. No, it's just you're in a way where you
You're being
understand
rude to
yourself.
people.
You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. You know your
You
journey.
get to the point of like,
No.
I know myself so much
Yeah.
that you can pinpoint when someone isn't aware of what they're saying or doing when they're talking to you.
You also understand that if people really want to get to know you, they will.
Yeah.
They'll try.
But and then you're also understanding why people do that.
Oh yeah.
You understand why they do it because you're like, oh, like you have this, but you don't even know that you have this. And so what you do is you put yourself out of that picture and you're like, okay, well, I know that you don't know, and it's not my responsibility to tell you. So I'm just gonna let you know that what you're doing to me is not okay, and these are my boundaries, and you do with that what you need. And
Like I said, self-awareness it's a key. It could be a
It's-
key to many
yeah.
things, to a better world,
and it helps others.
less heartbreaks. Imagine if we apply this in relationships. Being super honest with ourselves to the point where
Save so much time,
So
and people
much
you save
time.
people so much time and so much heartbreak
because
and
that's-
confusion. Like there doesn't need to be that much confusion. It doesn't need.
Love shouldn't be confusing.
It doesn't need to be that hard.
For sure.
Love shouldn't be that hard.
No, it should.
And people say
shouldn't be
there is
confusing
no
either.
love if there's no pain, and there,
Fuck
it
that.
does not need to be that fucking hard.
What is that quote I always say? If it's not giving me joy or orgasms, I don't fucking want it.
I don't want it. I don't need it.
Like
Bye-bye.
chinga. I say,
Yeah. Vete a la chingada. No te quiero. No te necesito. You do nothing for me.
oh man.
And I mean that in the most respectful way.
Hashtag respectfully.
Hashtag respect. Respectfully.
That's the thing, right? Respectfully.
Yeah. Fuck you. Respectful.
Respect.
Respect. Chinga tu madre. Respect.
Respect. No, pues wow.
Jódete. Respect.
It's like, bitch, just say to my face.
We will now, though.
Respectfully.
Respectful.
Okay.
Pues no, pues wow.
This one, that was a good
Now
one.
it's my turn to cry.
Damn. Well, I cried with you because damn.
No, that was. I mean, I'm proud of where I've been. I mean, I'm proud of where I am.
How far you've come.
How far I've come because I was. You guys don't understand. Like it's been hard for me to understand that was a hard thing. I went like that. That was hard. That's hard. That was. Like I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Like losing someone. You guys, it's like they're here and then they're not. Like you
To comprehend
the fact that this person,
exists.
I mean, you're here, you're right here, I can touch you, and I wake up and I can't do that anymore. You realize that that's not ever gonna happen again. Like I cannot do this ever again? Like, I can't hear you talk ever again? Like, unless it's a video? Like, you can't wrap your head around that. And I just realized, like, I fucking went through that. And everybody has their own journey. Everybody goes through it the way that they need to. And I went through it how I needed to. How I knew how. And yeah, how I knew how. Because maybe I didn't really need to go through it that way, but that's how I knew. And that was how I could
in that moment
do
with
it.
the tools that you had or the knowledge that you
with
had.
the knowledge that I had. And again, if I had self-awareness, I think it would have been a little easier. And it's still hard, don't get me wrong. No matter how much self-awareness you have, it's still fucking hard. But it's a little less chaotic and a little less self-inflicting. Like,
yeah, the
you
understanding of
self-sabotage
oneself
less.
is, the understanding of oneself is really okay. Well, and now we do it so much, it's like, okay, Adri.
Like, you understand
Why you do what you do.
And you understand the problem, or
You can take yourself outside of
the chaos.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like, you take yourself out of, what am I trying to say?
Like, you take yourself
Like, something big that happens.
but you can put yourself on the other side and just look at the problem and not really internalize it.
Yeah, like, where I can, like, see the problem for what it is and be like, okay, this happened, and this is me here, and this is the problem. I'm not the problem. I'm not taking in the problem, or I'm not, like how do we walking with the problem everywhere. I'm just like, okay,
Now what's the solution?
this is what happened. Now what do I do? And this is how I deal with things. How am I going to deal with this?
Very nice.
Yeah.
It's always, you always can learn new tools too.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
No,
Wow.
This is a good one.
This is really
This is
good.
actually really nice.
Next time we will ask each other questions, and hopefully Nietzsche will finally be on here.
She'll be back, and she can do a
been-
video with us. I miss you, my friend. I love you. I can't wait to see you when you come back.
Yes, and we can do that with her.
Yes,
Because
because
she's
I
been
can't
on her
wait for
own
you
journey.
guys to meet her. She's so lovely.
I love you,
I love
Nietzsche.
my friend, and there's so many things I need to get to know too. Like, Nietzsche, this is why I did it, because I also want to get to know you on a deeper level. I know that I know you because I just know things, and because we've grown up, and I can just tell things. You can just tell things too, but like, girl, I don't want to know.
The people want to know.
I want it to come out of your beautiful mouth.
Oh, and if you guys have any questions for us about the self-awareness or more questions,
Or what else you guys,
personal questions, then I mean we're here to answer them.
or if you want to tell your own stories, tell us.
Yeah.
We like to hear that. I like to hear that.
I love to know people.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah. Tell us your own self-awareness journey and how you got there
Yes.
and how you're dealing with it now. Are you alone, or did you find that community? And to those people who are alone and you guys are doing it, there is a light at the end of that tunnel. Like, it sounds so cliche, and many things are cliche. I'm gonna say very cliche, but it's true. But like, keep going. You'll find that community. Just keep going and keep being true to yourself, and those people will come to you. Those people will come where you will find them. They're out there. Like, if we're here, they're out there. And maybe you're not opening yourself that much, actually. Ask yourself that. Maybe you are going through this self journey, but maybe you're not opening yourself. You're not opening your journey to everybody else. So nobody really knows. And maybe you do need to do that. And you'll find those people, because you
They're
shouldn't
out
be
there.
alone. You don't need to be alone. You really don't. And I wouldn't want you to be alone, because it really sucks. And you can't really know yourself if you don't put yourself in situations, and if you don't put yourself in front of different kinds of people. Because
There's a big quote from one of the people that I follow. It's like, trauma is healed by experiences, by different experiences.
different experiences.
Yeah, you gotta experience stuff. Let people in. Scary.
Mm-hmm.
But we got this.
You know, there's this one Christian quote that I like where he said God didn't bring
storm?
no, he didn't just bring Jesus, he brought people.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? Bob Goff.
Oh,
I love Bob Goff.
I love those books.
Yeah, so yeah, I love that guy. I love how he explains
Maybe
Christianity
we could
for
put
himself.
in the submission, like some books that we've read that's really things that have helped us. The enneagram is a big one.
Oh yeah.
If anyone has heard of it, we should talk about that one time.
We
That
should. Ooh,
gets-
the enneagram could give it.
I love the
You
Enneagram.
can talk about it because you know so much about that.
I love it.
She knows way more.
I love it.
I just know about my number. And if I care enough, I'll ask you what yours is, and I'll look it up.
I always ask, what's your number? What's your zodiac sign?
I like the signs.
Can we talk about your past? Wait, one of our friends, that we used to talk to, who hurt you?
Who hurt you?
Who hurt you? Who traumatized you?
Yeah. Who broke your heart?
I want to know those things.
What's your story? Because we all have one, whether you think you have one or not, you have one.
And it's beautiful, and we're not broken. I don't believe that.
No.
I think we're all. Life can break us, but we have the power to create what we want with this life, and yeah, we can make it beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you. Are we good?
I think so.
All right.
I think that's it. Okay, people. Thank you for
Thank you
tuning
for
in
tuning
again.
in.
Thank you
Please.
for watching our videos.
Yes.
And for the people out there that have wished us luck and have wished us prosperity, and that we also, that those people that are like happy and can't wait to see where it takes us. Thank you. We appreciate you. We love you.
Share
We see
it,
you.
please. Share it.
Yes, share with your friends. Share with people. If you were like, whoa, it sparked anything in you, share it. Let people
Let us know
that
also.
we are here. Beautiful black-haired goddess and pink-haired goddess.
Oh wow.
Well, who knows what it's gonna be later?
Okay. I see you.
But thank you guys.
Yes.
Love you. And until the next one.